Hi, I am your host, Leonette Talley, and you are listening to Virago 24/7. Virago is Latin for female warrior, and 24/7 is for all day, every day. Virago 24/7 is a weekly podcast that brings diverse women together to talk about life and our experiences in this world. We share our views on self-love, mental health, marriage, children, friendships, and really anything that needs to be talked about. Here, you will find everyday growth, everyday healing with everyday warriors. Just give me my space to move. 'Cause it's my thoughts, what I want, and I want what I want. I have been so excited. This has been like a year in the making. Men of Virago. And we're finally here. Can we get a cheers?
Yay.
Okay, they don't seem excited. They're hella nervous. But you know what? We're drinking our drinks. It's Friday night. We got our scotches. We got our vodkas. And we're here to talk to the menses. So this is a women's... Okay, men listen to the show, but is mostly women driven, women geared. And I've always wanted to do a men's panel. So I'm thankful for the men that said yes to me. They're here today, and we're going to go around the table so we can hear their voices and know who each one is. We have...
Hello, beautiful people.
Contestant number one. Come on down.
I am.
You're the next contestant on the Men of Virago. I've been drinking. We went out to a late lunch / early dinner, and I've been drinking.
Husband, significant other. We've been married for how long again?
Are you serious?
Do you want me to answer?
Oh my gosh. Listen, dude, we just celebrated it like a month ago. Okay, you're close.
18.
18.
Oh, that's right.
Yes.
We're still in 23.
September 24th.
My bad.
Thank you. I do know. So, September 24th, we've been married for 18 years. I think we are growing closer every year.
Yeah. What qualifies you as a good candidate for the Men of Virago? You've dated a ton. Our youngest daughter says, I think daddy's dated the whole alphabet. Like every time we talk about exes, she literally says that. So we literally have gone through the whole alphabet. Okay, did you date somebody with the letter A? And then he's like, yeah. And so I think there's like maybe 2 letters of the alphabet that you haven't dated. For real. Like this is not made up. So his qualifications are he's been married for 18 years, but he's dated a ton.
Well, now I know what I need.
Okay. Okay.
Good answer.
All right. Who's number 2? Men of Virago.
Men of Virago. I am Justin.
Okay.
And I've been married for 17 years. And
you've dated a lot too. I've known you since you were 14 years old, and I know how much you've dated. So I don't know about the alphabet, but you've dated a lot. So
yes, I have.
You too qualify to be on the men's panel.
Yes, I have dated a lot in my previous life before marriage.
Yes, you have. Yes, you have.
Very interesting, exciting life. And then I settled down, as they say.
All right, we'll get into that in a minute. And we have contestant number 3.
So my name is Milky Martinez, and I'm the single one in the group. It's a privilege for me to be here with these gentlemen, very smart, intellectual gentlemen. So I'm just excited to see what they're going to bring into the table in this podcast.
Wonderful. So before we start, though, I promise the people that we will make sure that you guys are honest. And even though, Philip, you are married to me, I need you to be brutally honest, even if it has to do with me. I am a strong individual and I can take it, and we'll fight about it later. Do we solemnly swear that we will tell the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
So help Virago 24/7?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
I do.
Oh, you do? Okay. And before we start, Milky and I share a birthday. Woo-woo, November the 6th.
Salute.
So salute to us.
Oh, it's about to be birthday time.
Salute to us. We're celebrating. This is the beginning of our birthday weekend with the men's panel. I'm excited. Happy birthday to you, Milky.
Thank you.
Happy birthday to me. I'm a lot older than him, but that's okay. Listen, just before we start, toot my own horn. I was told I looked like I was in my 20s yesterday, so just saying.
Nice. Rose said you look like you're in your 30s.
That's right. Anyways. All right, so
I didn't know you volunteered at the
what
at the
what?
At the high school. I was going to say old folks home.
I know you were going to say that. I was waiting for you to say
I thought we were going to be honest.
Of course they would think they would. I look 20. Oh my gosh. All right. So we had, I asked friends and people on social media to send questions. So we have quite a few. We have about 22 questions. So take your time answering them. Let's start. I don't know where to start because there's no rhyme or reason. They're all very different questions, but we're going to start with an easy one. It's a silly one, but all women want to know, does it really take you 45 minutes to go to the bathroom and why? And this was brought to us by Angela. So thank you, Angela, for that riveting question.
What I take with me to the bathroom.
Okay, you always take
my iPad.
Yes, you do.
Oh boy.
So I'm gonna go through my email. I'm gonna go through my cowboy stuff, my sports stuff.
45 minutes?
Yeah, just
Don't your legs get like numb, shaky from sitting on the toilet for 45 minutes?
If you do it for long enough, then you're good.
Some hemorrhoids?
Yeah. No hemorrhoids. That's a whole different reason to be sitting for a long time. But for me, it's just kind of, time to chill.
Listen, if you guys don't feel comfortable answering every question, that's okay. Not everyone you don't have to answer all the questions.
Just remind me one day that I was in the bathroom and I fell asleep.
Wait, is this a true story?
Oh wait, we're being honest, right?
Oh boy!
When I woke up, I had to learn how to walk again.
Wait, did you really fall asleep on the toilet?
I could see that happening.
Wait, were you drunk or were you sober?
I get that.
It was really late.
It was late.
It was late at night. It was late. I get that. 100%.
You get it, Justin?
I do get that.
You can relate to Milky?
I can relate. Well, I don't know if I can relate, but I do get it. Sometimes.
I love that.
Gosh.
So I have an honest answer.
Okay, what is it?
One, it's routine and regularity, right? Every time, every morning, and for me, it's every morning. Same time, same bat channel. I have my thing. I have to read the times. I read my news articles. I get caught up on the day. I look at what I have to do. I do a little bit of scrolling too. I get stuck on the algorithms of, reels or TikToks or whatever. And then I also respond to all the missed guys chats, my text groups with my homies.
And it has to be on the toilet. It can't be like at the kitchen table.
I think better when I'm thinking more clear.
No distractions, no children.
No distractions.
No one else is in the room with you.
There's nobody there to bother you.
I hope there's nobody else there.
Oh, that'd be gross.
Actually, let's follow up. Do you guys use the bathroom with the door open and let your significant other see? Watch?
Open, lights off.
While you're taking a crap?
Because it's in the morning. So it's in the morning, lights off.
But the door open.
Yeah, I don't like having the door closed.
Okay.
Oh yeah, definitely. I lock the door.
Wait, who's coming in?
I don't know.
Hey, they're going to get you.
I don't know. I don't want anybody walking in.
Damn. Yeah.
Probably.
Listen, I'm a very fluid individual. But yeah, we don't keep the doors open, except if I'm peeing. I'll keep that open because it's just pee. It's just a little water trickling down. Right? Milky, when you get married, are you going to leave the door open or are you going to leave the door closed?
I don't know yet. As of right now, I live by myself, so it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. There's no routine in that.
I wanted to start off with something silly. So I'm just going to go down. Like I said, there's no rhyme or reason to the way I'm asking the questions. So Liz wanted to know, for the married men, as far as the ups and downs in marriages, do you guys feel like there's cycles to the marriage, ups and downs, or do you think women are just crazy and they're the only ones with the cycles and they're the ones that determine whether it's up or down?
You want an honest answer?
We all want the honest answer.
Okay, honest answer is the women. I'm sorry. I'm going to say it. It is a cycle of one day over another. But look, in my mind, I honestly think that it's a different set of hormones and the way that women's brains work, that it's very different from men. And so there are those cycles of those ups and downs. There's nothing wrong with it. And that's, I think, maybe a stigma that sometimes gets put on is like, oh, women are crazy. It's like, no, they just think very differently. And it's hard to relate as men. And so it sometimes does seem like a cycle of ups and downs when it really isn't. If you understand them as they are biologically, I think there's some science behind why they think certain ways and why their brain functions. I don't know it enough, and I'm not claiming to be smart enough to even figure that out, but I do appreciate and understand that that's not who they are. That's just where they are in their mind right now. And as long as you love them and you care for them and you continue to support them, then you work through that and you go on the ups and downs with them.
Yeah, I would say men are simple creatures.
Very.
We wouldn't have ups and downs in marriage with things. It doesn't mean that we shouldn't, because I think what women do is help us grow, help us tap into things that we wouldn't even think about because we are so simple. It's not complicated to figure out a man. And if it was up to us, I mean, if we in a marriage for 10 years and we have, 20 ups and down cycles for a guy, we might have 2. And that's about it.
Damn.
and it's not based on anything complicated. It's very simple.
The 2 cycles are when you're born and then when you die.
See?
Cycle ended.
Or sex related. But, it's just, there's definitely ups and downs and cycles with marriage.
But you guys are placing it on the women because we are complicated creatures.
Yes.
I don't, I'll say.
Justin's like, no. Internally, he's like, yes.
No. Yes, it may seem outwardly like we're placing that blame on women, but I think internally we're trying to reconcile the thought and trying to figure out where I went wrong or what I did. Because in our minds, we didn't do anything wrong. We're just being exactly what we're do. It's simple.
That's the problem, Justin.
Well,
that's
right.
The problem.
But that's what meant. That's why there's books written about, men are from Mars, women are from Venus, or whatever it is. Yeah. It's that difference. It's
it's no right or wrong.
No.
It's just
are you an adult? Are you adult enough to handle it?
So it sounds like since we're the ones that have brilliant minds as women, that's why we complicate things. I don't think we complicate things. We just see big picture. I think men see like narrow. They're like have blinders on the sides. That's how I see it. So if we know that, it is super important to pick the right partner that you can, because not every, going back to you guys having dated a lot of women, obviously you didn't marry them. So they weren't.
Thank goodness.
They weren't, I don't want to say worthy, because I think as women, we're all worthy, but they weren't one, right for you to even want to go through these cycles with. Mm-hmm. Is that what you're saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You wouldn't want to go, you're not going to go through those cycles with someone that you're not, you don't think that that's the person. A guy will do whatever he needs to do if it's the right girl or right woman. If they're not, we're not going to do anything. It's not a bad thing or a right or wrong thing. We're simple. I actually think we see big picture, and the women are really into the details of things. That's the way I look at it.
That's a good one. Okay. I agree with that.
That's a good point.
We see, we might be looking about or thinking about the year. You're thinking about that minute.
Mm-hmm. You guys don't sweat the small stuff.
No, not at all. That's the beauty of a marriage, because you have to have someone that balances you out. God gave us gifts, and we all don't have the same gifts. So it's great to marry someone that has a different gift than you. So now together, y'all are a good union, and that's what you want. You don't want someone that's just like you. In instance, that it's good to have someone that thinks about the things that you don't think about, that is more complicated, that's not as simple. And that way, together, you handle life better. I mean, marriage, and I always say this, is a commitment to grow together. So if we're growing together, then it's well worth it. All the ups and downs, but as long as that trajectory is going up, not something that's always up and down, and it's never over a period of time overall going up. Okay. That's a problem.
All right. Milky, I know you're not married, but I mean, in any relationship, you go through cycles. Have you experienced any of that?
Yeah, I experienced it.
Ups and downs.
Ups and downs.
What you doing in my car?
And that's why you haven't married them?
That's it.
Because you've never been married and you don't have any children, correct?
No kids.
Okay.
Oh, he is a catch.
Listen, we're trying to.
Everyone knows that.
Yeah, what's your IG handle again?
Let me promote my IG here.
Yeah, no, seriously, what is it? What
You
is
gotta
it?
slide into those DMs.
What is it? Say it right now.
Milk loves food.
Wait, milk what?
Loves food.
Milk loves food? Oh, that's so cute. Milk loves food.
Exactly.
Okay, he's really cute, and I want a good girl for him because I'm always telling him that I'm going to be the one. Tell him yay or nay. Because he's a good catch. He's a good catch, guys. He's a good catch.
Really good person.
All right. So Linda wants to know, first of all, this has nothing to do with sex. Okay. So intimacy, yes, intimacy does not equal sex. Okay. So get that out the mind. For this question, we'll talk about sex later. So Linda wants to know, how important is intimacy to you? If it is important, how do you like to give it and how do you like to receive it? And what does that mean?
And it has nothing to do with sex.
Okay, and if it is sex, give it. Like, she didn't want sex included, but if you guys want to include sex into it, let's do it.
So repeat the question again.
Intimacy, what does it mean to you? How do you like to give it and receive it? Is it important? We were looking about not talking about sex, but if you guys want to include sex, that's your answer.
Well, she doesn't want to include sex, so I won't include sex. But I'll say this. Every time I hear the word intimacy, I think about privacy. And that is something that I see that it's a privilege and people have it, but they just don't value it. And I see that everybody who has a relationship, they like to display it. I just feel like it's not valued, but I definitely think it's very important, intimacy, in the sense of like, even if a relationship's having some problems or going through, like we just talked about, ups and downs. And I think that's something that it should be handled within the couple. And sometimes I just see that it's just word gets out from one of the couples. They just break that intimacy and they just tell people, or they post it on Instagram, or there's always something. So I feel like it's definitely very, very important, not including sex. We're just talking about other things.
Intimacy for me, I would say, would be those rare moments in a married life where you get to just have that alone time. Where it's just you and the other person. Those are the moments when I can consider the intimacy. Those little playful things that, I think to Milky's point too, the private moments where like only you and her know about it. And it's only you and her thing. It's like the kink, right? Mm-hmm. It's not sex, but it's a kink, right? Because it's only shared between you and her. And so those to me are their intimacies. Because I can say, there are moments that I share with my wife that are intimate and unsex related, that are just I know when I can connect to her, and I know when things are intimate where I've actually connected with her. And then for how I like to receive it, I always forget the love language, what it's like, but I love touch. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like all I want is just for somebody to touch me.
Oh, you need a hug.
All right.
I thought we were sex.
No, but I mean, even it's like there's people who talk with their hands. There's people who are like, I like the touch. Like even, I coach soccer, and I would even consider the intimate relationship that a coach has with their players as intimacy, as a willingness to have a bond with them that's special, to guide them and help them grow. And so I touch my players like in appropriate ways, of course.
I'm glad you
cleared that up, right? Yeah. No, but I touch them and I let them know how good of a job they're doing. I like giving high fives. I like giving, fist bump here, all that kind of thing. I like grabbing them and be like, that was amazing, showing the passion for the play that they have. Mm-hmm. That I love. That's intimacy to me. That's what I think when you break it down to its core, it's just two humans connecting in a very, very real and honest way.
I love that. And I think when it comes to like, McCoy just mentioned privacy, and like Justin just mentioned, what does intimacy mean to me? It's those private moments that you have with for me, my wife, when we have our one-on-one vacations, one-on-one time here in the basement, no kids, no dogs. We can just be silly. We can just be free. I know I can be me no matter what. And that's intimate. It could be just sitting on the deck with some coffee, reading together, not saying a word. That's intimacy. How do I like to give intimacy? I think sometimes it's just being heard, letting you know that you're being heard, or I've listened to you, bringing something to you that you haven't asked for. To me, it's intimacy. And it's so important. You got to have that one-on-one time with your significant other. Because if you don't, when the intimacy goes, to be honest, then the sex goes. So for me, it's very important.
Or the sex happens somewhere where it's not supposed to.
You're right about that.
Okay, because so I'm sure there's some relationships that have all the sex, but don't really have what you guys are describing as quote unquote intimacy.
Mm-hmm.
For us as women, we need the intimacy in order to have sex.
Right.
If you guys didn't have the intimacy, but you only had the sex, you're not going to go outside of your relationship for that.
That's not true though.
No, I don't believe that.
It depends on who you got.
I believe if you guys are having,
asking y'all a question, but you're wrong.
I've seen some what I thought were very, very good people make very bad decisions. In my lifetime, in my experiences, what I've seen on not many occasions, but on a few occasions that I witnessed, I've seen really, really good men who have very, very good relationships with their spouses, or at least the perception of really, really good relationships, make really questionable decisions about other women, and in some instances have gone into adultery and have done so and then asked me to just, hey, don't mention this to the wife kind of deal. And I'm like, bro, you can't put your burdens on me. Mm-hmm. It's like, that's not how I work. I'm a very honest man, but we don't know each other that well. So good luck to you and hope to never see you again.
Well, they didn't have a good marriage if they're stepping out.
That's the thing. Like, there's no intimacy so you can almost draw the line between the lack of intimacy that individual might have had with somebody, with their significant other, by making having an affair or doing something, erroneous, and because it's not there. So, but I don't know that side of the world because I have never crossed that line, but I have seen it happen multiple times.
But the thing is, like, are they having sex with their wives? That's what I'm trying to get at.
I'm pretty sure, because there's kids that come right after. I saw
You saw the kids.
I saw the kids. The kids look like him. So
okay, they had sex that one time.
That sex that one time.
It doesn't mean that they're having sex continuously.
Right.
So for me as a woman, I always think of men thinking that intimacy is sex. So like what you guys are describing as intimacy, it sounds beautiful.
But it leads to that.
Every woman wants all that fluff that you guys just said.
But you said to leave sex out of it. So
I know, but I'm just saying.
But it leads to that.
There is intimacy in sex. There has to be a certain factor to it. When we talk about intimacy, then if we're talking about the word in general, sex has to be inside that category.
I kind of feel like that question is, it's not, they say it's not about sex, but it is about sex.
For men. For men it is.
Ultimately, yes.
That's what it leads to.
Intimacy means, what are those moments? Like, what turns you on?
So that's the thing that you just talked about. You said, well, for women, I have to have intimacy to have sex. Mm-hmm. Guys don't have to have intimacy to have sex, but they need intimacy to lead to more sex. Because if it's not there, they will go elsewhere for it.
Yeah.
Intimate sex, maybe, is what they're in search for.
Mm-hmm.
And again,
there's just sex, and then there's
every time you say intimacy, I automatically go back to private. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, if it's not intimate sex, what is it? Public sex?
Yeah.
I mean, because guys definitely can just have sex. I get that. But that's not something alone.
We know, Philip. We know.
But that doesn't mean that's not a relationship. That's just a booty call.
Oh.
So that's not someone that you're looking at long term. This is my soul. Maybe this is someone I'm gonna marry. This is just something to
Milky, how many
Get off
booty
steam.
calls do you have on a regular?
Oh my goodness.
Hey, so we're talking about booty calls.
That's
Hey.
not one of your questions.
No, it's not. I just listen.
You try to get
That's
into
my-
his intimate life.
Exactly.
His private.
Listen, the way I work with this podcast, I do follow-up questions
Damn, that's just
to the
nosy.
question.
That's just nosy.
You don't have to
Just say
answer.
no.
Let me take my drink.
There you go.
What else?
Next question.
Okay, so when we're speaking of intimacy, obviously that's a very important part of a relationship. What else is a foundation for you that you would want for a relationship, especially for Milky, who's searching high and low for his person? What's the foundation?
Well, real quick, this is fast. If you want, you can edit this after this.
Yeah.
But you're saying, okay, so let's say an example, how many calls I have currently? That's an intimate question, right? So
Is it though? Does it have to be intimate?
if I reveal, it's like I'm revealing, even though if it's multiple or if it's one or if it's two, even though they're booty calls or whatever, it's still something I need to keep, something I need to not reveal. And that's a sense of intimacy, even though those girls are not wife materials, right?
No, get out of here with that.
Or can I say?
Get out of here with that. Now he has integrity for these women that he doesn't want to marry. Get out of here.
But you have to.
No.
You have
You
to.
can.
No.
Because if I know that,
He's protecting them.
No, it's all consensual in my mind. It's all
well,
consensual.
it's also protecting me too. Like, why would I?
Yeah.
Yes.
No.
Why would he say that?
Get out of
That
here.
makes no sense
No.
at all. All right, next question.
See, he's being really sweet. He's protecting the booty calls, even though they're not marriage material. We're still protecting them. That shows your heart, Milky. That shows
I
your
don't have any booty calls, by the way. But yeah.
But if you did, you wouldn't disclose them.
No.
Okay, foundation to a relationship. It could be. I have 5 things, but I think I have 5 things. But I know what the foundation is. But what do you guys think the foundation is?
To
A healthy relationship.
To a healthy relationship,
Yes.
obviously, it's going to be communication, like, and trust. I mean, that's a given. But it comes in different forms. Like, it has to come without any like need to say anything. Like, you just trust. Oh, it'll get done, or I trust that you'll keep me safe, or you'll do this. Like, it doesn't have to be communicated. It's just, that you'll be there for me if you ever need anything. Like, that's the trust. The communication part is obviously the communication part. It's, making sure that you're being very clear with things, and you're actually having the conversations that you regularly need to have, whether it be about home, family, finance, everything that you have to deal with in the adult world. You have to have those conversations. And even if you want to make it a real connection, the intimate moments, and where you're communicating, your wants and your needs in those intimate moments, those are a good foundation for growing, in your relationship.
I'm still trying to figure that out. But one thing that I do not tolerate is just disrespect. I just
before.
don't. Yeah, I don't tolerate that. That's a very broad word for every guy. It might be different, but that's the one thing I don't tolerate. But I'm still figuring out the other stuff.
Okay.
So for me, that's why I was just writing these things down. For me, it is trust 100%, like Justin mentioned. It's the same thing what McQuaid mentioned about respect, healthy communication, good sex. I think that's a foundation. And someone that has the same values.
Oh, that's a good one. I missed that one.
I gotta have the same values as that person.
Yeah.
And I went back to thinking. My youngest sister, Carolyn, made me create a list for my soulmate. And I did this back in college.
Damn.
I think it was. Yeah. She made me
Back
write
in
a list.
1988,
1984.
Maybe 88.
when I was in college in
But she made
1979.
me make a list of my soulmate. And I will tell you to do that, McQuaid. I wrote down a list of my soulmate and what's the deal breakers? I listed who is my perfect soulmate. And then I had to go back. Carolyn made me go back and write down, like, what are the deal breakers for that soulmate? And values was one of the main ones, because that person had to be, for me, a Christian. There's no way in the world that I could marry someone that's not a Christian. That was a deal breaker.
You did.
And that's why I'm not married to that person now.
Damn.
It ain't me, but you did.
Called it.
And I did not look at my list when I did that.
Yeah, where'd the list go? You forgot.
He has it. He still has it upstairs.
It's in my Bible.
Yeah, you should take it out of that Bible.
I do sometimes.
Frame it up.
I do sometimes. I take a look at it, and Carol and I sat down in her apartment and wrote that list. And
that's fun.
Those are the things I go back to. You know, it has to be, I have to have trust, I have to have respect, I have to have a healthy communication, good sex, and same values. We got to have the same values because you can't, in my mind, have a foundation in a healthy relationship if you don't have those things. Obviously, there's a lot of other things in there that you could put, but for me, that's what it is. So what are yours, Leonette?
No, I'm not a part of the men's panel. I am not a man. I am not a man, but I concur I concur with a lot of, well, no, values are huge. So communication is huge. How you want to raise your children has to be similar. How you handle finances, religion. I don't care if people say, oh, we can all come together. Goodbye. No, that like you have to have similar ideas when it comes to religion, non-religion, whatever, when it comes to spirituality. So those are the main things. However, we're talking about truth. You said speaking truth and being honest, and you said the same thing. Mm-hmm. One of my biggest pet peeves in the whole wide world, if you ask me, is a liar. I hate not knowing the full truth, not knowing, like anytime anybody lies to me, that it's a wrap. But why do men like to omit, quote unquote, I'm using quotes, omit facts, omit the truth? For me, it's lying. Why do you guys do that?
Because men don't see it that way.
Well, how do you see it? And this is coming from me and from my friend Shiny, who contributed to these questions. Why do you guys like to omit the truth and say that it's not lying?
You talking about like gaslighting?
No, it's like,
you don't tell, you may not say everything.
Like Philip and I have our biggest arguments throughout the marriage.
Fulfilling, not saying everything that took place.
Because they can't handle the truth. That's it.
And you know what? That's what Philip said. He's like, well, because you would have gotten upset. Well, let me show you how upset I can really get.
Yeah, I had to learn. Let me tell you this.
Okay.
Because we said we're going to be honest.
Yes, let's be honest.
So let's be honest. So the thing is, we want to avoid the fight. So we don't mention everything that took place. Doesn't mean we lied about it. We just didn't tell everything that happened. So that's not a lie. You just didn't. We just
don't want to deal with the ups and downs. We don't want to deal with what's going to come with.
If you say this, that it's going to create a problem. So if you just avoid this, then I won't have a problem. Now, that is the younger version of me, because you have to be honest. And sometimes you just need to you need to be transparent. That's what I've learned. Because my younger version of myself was not transparent when it came to those things. But what it did later was create a bigger problem. Because then at some point, that's going to come out. And then it's a bigger problem. Oh, you didn't say she was there, but she was there. But you didn't say it. Well, I didn't think it was important to say that she was there.
Well,
But
you described all the other details of the situation. He described every detail.
I did.
Except for that one. Exactly. Oh, I forgot. Okay.
I forgot.
Okay.
But that's the truth. You don't want to have that fight.
But do you realize that as women, we were born detectives
to fight,
and we were not to fight. We were born.
My bad.
We were born detectives, and we will always find the truth out. It may not be today, it may not be tomorrow, but it will come. And that to me is worse of a reaction that you're going to get than just saying, "Hey," and I would be like, "Oh, okay." Well, that sucks. No, like if you were honest from the rip, I'd be like, okay, that sucks.
I think you guys think that.
No.
You think that you'll act that way, but no, it doesn't ever happen that way.
I think this is what I think.
Which wrath would you rather have, the before or the after?
I think you would not react that way at the very beginning. But the multiple times that you are transparent, you'll lessen that reaction. But the honest truth is, no, that is a lie. You would react ugly at the very beginning. And then later, as I continue to be transparent, you won't have as much of a reaction. That's what the real deal is. Not that, oh, I'm going to be all okay. It's all right. No, that's a damn lie. You wouldn't be like that. You lying now. You lying right now.
Yeah, I'm going to be completely honest. All the experience that I had being completely transparent has gone wrong.
Yes, thank you.
And it hasn't been the way I communicated. It hasn't been that just the way I said it is. It's just been that I was just completely honest, and it's gone wrong. So I've learned.
Like what? What's an example?
All right, I'll give you an example. This happened recently. I was talking to somebody, and she asked me if she asked me. let me see how I get out. Let me see how I can word this. She asked me something, and
no. We're not gonna say no.
Me to put it in her butt.
No.
You know what? I'm gonna be completely honest. Tell you.
You have to no.
Went there.
It's not an example if you don't give us what she said or what she asked.
Well, I told her the truth. I said this and that.
No. What'd she say? No, what'd she say?
It's a weird situation, and I don't even know how to. I'm trying to find like a similar example or something like that.
Just spit it out.
Actually, you can spit out because nobody knows.
We don't know who it is. She don't know who it is unless you say,
who this is.
"Hey, you need to listen to this podcast where I talk about you."
Nobody knows who.
Nobody's gonna know.
Dang, and I give my Instagram and everything in the beginning.
How we know we're gonna cut that out.
Follow me.
Now you're gonna cut that out.
Come on, you solemnly you swore that you were gonna tell the truth and nothing but the truth.
But I would just say this: is that it never works. People, they just don't know how to take the truth, the
right person doesn't.
The right person does, but even though like there's always an excuse. There's always, you should have said it this way, or it's always, but I said what I said. You wanted to hear that, and you still reacted. Versus if I just didn't say anything, everything would have been good.
No, I don't like that.
And I know you don't like that, but the reality is, the evidence is that people do not react very well with the truth, and that's why people like to get lied to, and that's why
we like to get lied.
We like to get lied.
That's why they like to get lied to. No, sir. Listen.
Because it's one thing of what people say. The other thing is the evidence. We have to deal with the evidence. People don't react very well with the truth. And that's what it is. You know, it's not right, but that's what it is.
No, I feel like men omit the truth because they feel guilty. Period. You guys feel guilty about something, and that's why you like, well, let me keep this little bit in. Because why the hell are we going to get upset about something?
No.
And your situation is different because maybe someone is asking you a question. I didn't ask him any question. This mofo right here was, oh, sorry, I love you. You're not a mofo. He's not a mofo, everybody. He's not a mofo. But at the time, he was a mofo. He's volunteering all this. He volunteers this information. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's great. So, a few weeks later, I find out more details. I'm like, hold up, wait a minute. Mr. acted like he was giving me all this like flowery information, and then why did you leave this little tidbit out? So that's what I'm talking about.
So I think you're talking in generalizations, first of all. You are. So when it comes to someone telling the truth, I agree with McQuaidus in the sense that they really don't want to hear the truth, and they don't react well. However, you need to continue to tell them the truth, and then you'll know what type of person that is. Because initially, I don't care if someone tells you the truth. You telling us the truth, we're not going to react well initially. the more times you tell us the truth, I think you give that person a chance to be their true selves. And then over a time, then if they're the right person, then they will be okay with you telling them the truth and being transparent. But initially, no one, most people, because that's a generalization. Most people don't take the truth well because they really want you to tell them something that they want to hear.
Yeah.
Not what you really want to tell them. Because you said I've dated a lot of people.
Yeah, you have.
So you have people that tell you, oh my goodness, am I the one? No, you're not.
Then why you date me, mofo?
I enjoy your company for this moment.
Damn.
That's a great answer.
Do you want me to tell you you're the one and lie to you?
Well, why you in
That's
my
a
bed?
lie.
Why you in my bed?
So don't ask that question, because the question you really don't want the answer. You want me to tell you something you want to hear.
I got a perfect example.
There we go.
But I need you to give like details of this example.
Okay, I'll give you good details. I was in Florida recently. I have a friend who's in Florida.
He said a friend.
Yeah, I said a friend, and we have met each other a few times in the past, and whatever that means, right? Yeah. Met her. And she always asks me this question: "Hey, why do you like me?" If I say truly, why do I like her? Would she like that answer? Or if I say, hey, I like you because of this or that, or
why do you like her? I don't understand the question, Milky.
So what I do is this. So I use this trick. I always use this trick. I always joke around with it. When everybody asks me that question, it's like, oh, I like you because of your money. And she's like, I don't have no money. I'm like, oh, okay. And I just kind of leave the question up in the air. But really, though.
I love it.
She's like, I'm broke, bitch.
Why are you with me? Why do you like me? So it's like,
That's a loaded question.
you don't want to hear it. Do you really want to hear the answer? Why do I like you? Like, why am I with you? Or you don't want to hear that answer. You want to hear the other answer.
Are you with her because she's your booty call in Florida?
If I say the truth, what will her reaction be? We won't even be friends anymore.
She wouldn't be happy with it.
Exactly. So that's a little hard of a question because we generalize. But the reality is, I don't know.
That's a single life.
No, listen. Okay, let's all put ourselves back in a single life place.
That's what I'm doing.
As a woman, I think she's asking that because she deep down knows that she's not the one for you. We want to feel special. We don't want to feel like a freaking booty call.
Right. So I give her a special answer. I'll give her a special answer. And so truth and trust go together. Speaking, by the way, hypothetically speaking.
No, my thing is like right now, after 18 years, if Philip speaks truth to me, we have built a trust over years. Like I have learned to trust him. So his truth is not going to hurt me as much because I know it's coming from a place of love. But when I'm just dating you and you're like lying and omitting truth.
Those are two different worlds.
Like,
unfortunately, those are two different worlds.
You're just using her and she knows it and she just wants to tell herself.
I was using her.
You are. Okay. You're using her body. And but why would he speak the truth?
You know what? She may just have really good passes to Disney. Like you never know. Like I've seen this dude. He likes Disney.
And so why wouldn't you tell her the truth? Because you know the truth is not what she wants to. It's going to hurt her.
It's not what she wants to what? It's not what she wants to hear. So what are you asking?
Because you're lying to her, thinking that she's you're treating her special.
And that's the thing. Like even right now, this very moment, I'm telling the truth, and the reaction that I'm getting is not like, oh, okay, look, I understand.
What's the truth?
In my mind, her asking that question just seems very insecure to me.
It is. It is insecure.
It's a very insecure
but then
question.
how many?
And
people,
when you don't have trust in a man, you are insecure.
But when you have the confidence, when you have the confidence like this man has. He knows well enough if he tells her the truth, she's just going to bounce. She's just not going to be in the picture anymore.
Well, let her bounce.
And
give her that. Give her that.
And again, like my example.
You guys are little snakes in the grass. That's all I'm saying.
My example is a common example. This is not the only.
Oh, I know.
Question.
Oh, I know. It's
thing.
very common. Yeah.
So then again, and you could build up on that. Why you ask a question, and if I answer, I'm just gonna hurt your feelings. So me being a nice guy that I am, why would I hurt
But you're not.
She just wants to reaffirm in her mind that she's making.
I don't know. I think you guys have it all. The reason I have a very strong reaction is because I've been that girl. I know I'm amazing, but not every man that has come through my world just thought I was amazing. So you get a little triggered because they in one way act like, oh yes, but then on the other hand, they're.
So question for you.
Stop wasting my effing time. Don't waste my time.
This question for you. Let's go to the next question. This question for you is, when you ask that question, don't you already know the answer?
Yes, we do deep down.
Okay.
But we don't want to admit it. But yes, you're right. We do.
We do. Yeah. Okay.
A lot of us know deep down.
Mm-hmm.
But we're at that age, if they're in their 20s.
Yeah,
early 30s, we're dumb. Even some women in their 50s, they're dumb.
You're getting played.
Yeah.
You know that you're getting played.
You're just trying to get confirmation that you're getting played.
We're hoping deep down that we're not getting played.
Yeah, but you know you are. You know you are.
Because we just want to feel love, Justin.
Yeah,
we want love.
I get it.
Background music.
All right. Next question. This is from Dawn. With the changes, climate shift from the last few years involving women's rights, for example, #MeToo, equal wage discussions, more women being the sole income providers, et cetera, how has this impacted men? How do you guys feel about that? Because I've heard, I listen to podcasts and radio and stuff, and men feeling like they are pins and needles. Like, what do we say? Is that PC? Blah, blah, blah. How does that affect you guys?
For me, it doesn't affect me. I understand the value that women bring to any place, like whether it be the home, the office, or anything like that. What sometimes I guess makes me a little I was like, all right, we want all this equal rights, but then we also want the men to do more and to do and there's still a lot of men who don't live in that world of wanting to be that type of man. I think there's still a lot of men who like to hold on to the more traditional sense of what men are in a home or in an office and everything. And it's not because they're resistant to it. I think that it's just that they're not accustomed to it and they're not in this. They don't have the same fervor of change as the women want. Like the women want it now. Okay, it's our time. We did this march and everything. And the men are like, great, we love you and we support you. Just give us some time, right? Mm-hmm. There's going to be a generational shift. You're going to see this happen years from now. And you're starting to see it even now in a lot of the Gen Zers and maybe the lower end of the millennials, where you're seeing a lot more men be, accepting of those equal rights and taking more ownership of what you would consider more traditional, the family values of a woman's place in the home or in an office or anything like that. So you're seeing that change already shifting. So you're going to see the older generation start to move, a little bit more towards the center. But by that time, they're going to be older. They're going to be, in their rocking chairs, retired and all of that. And then you're going to see eventually that change happen over time. Right. But what I think sometimes we get wrapped up in, and this also goes for Black Lives Matter movements, for Brown Lives Matter movements, for any kind of movement. As much as we want things to change immediately and as passionate as we can be about it, it doesn't happen that way in this country. Like we're still having shootings and people mass murdered on a very regular basis. Mm-hmm. And we know how to change it, but it hasn't. No. And it's the same thing with the traditional home. It's the same thing with the values of this country. And what's really struggles is there's not a real conversation that puts just people in understanding of just understanding other people at the center of the conversation. It's, I want this and I want this now. And each individual group is moving towards that. And it makes it very hard because there's so many voices in the room. So through all of that, I think for women, I think it's finding the support and finding the individuals, and especially the older generation, maybe who looks at it as like, they're a little bit more traditional, working on them to understand, that and accept some of this change for those who are resistant to it, and then figure out ways to communicate that in a very, reasonable manner, that it's not this overburdening thing of, well, I want this now and stuff. Equal pay is different. That should happen immediately, right? Of course,
100%.
That should 100%. And I hope that there's laws in that. I'm not as political as I once was way back in the day, but I think there's plenty of opportunity for men to get on that board. And it's also welcoming those individuals. Like, hey, come be a part of this with me. I mean, honestly, I think not that it's any way self-serving at all, but I think just the fact that I'm here doing this podcast is I want to be a part of what that voice sounds like in the future. Mm-hmm. And if my daughters ever figure out how to podcast works, which I do because they were trying to ask me today. I was like, what's the name of that podcast again? And I'm like, nah. I was like, I don't know what that is.
I love it.
But like eventually, like having those conversations and involving more men who are non-traditionally, and it's great to have cheerleaders, but it's better to have enemies or to have resistors with conversations and just have casual conversations. Like, I'll say this, I live and am surrounded by and interact with a lot of racist people. Like, I've been around a lot of racist people, and I treat them the same way that I would treat a brother or a sister or anybody in my circle, because even though they may not essentially believe the same things that I believe in, I still need to treat them as a human. As terrible as that makes, I think God told me, no, I have to love him or her in the same way that I love my children. And in that way, over time, you will see this change. It's just time. It's hard.
I have nothing to say.
It's so hard.
Justin killed it.
He dropped the mic on that mic.
That's a drop. That's a mic drop.
Very hard.
Yeah.
That's good. I feel like you
Is that it?
No. I think sometimes as a woman, we want to be seen, we want to be heard. And I've learned in being married to Philip, if you look at us, we do have traditional roles. Like, he is the breadwinner and I stay home. Yeah, I work, but I'm not bringing in all the money, but I handle the household. I'm the manager of our house. So looking at us, it is traditional. However, like, I'm okay with that, because with that, he respects me as his partner, and we do things as partners. We communicate, we look at the finances together. So I think I think what women are looking at when they talk about like the patriarch is they're looking at the man controlling everything and the woman being in the dark and not knowing anything. And I think it's gone to the extreme where it's like, I want to be Miss Independent. Well, you can still be independent in this relationship. And so I'm conflicted sometimes, because I am very like pro woman. We're powerful. We're amazing. However, it's okay to like allow the man to lead in certain situations, because trust me, I have a mouth and I will lead when I want to lead, but having that man allow that when necessary. So it's, for me, finding the right partner and not getting stuck in the patriarch, because not every man that is the breadwinner, that is kind of the leader of their house, they're not always like these malicious men, if that makes sense. I feel like we have
sometimes we're painted as that, though.
I know. And that sucks. I feel like that sucks, because
I don't think it sucks. Like, here's
that good men like you guys are painted into that light.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It's not real men won't take that personally.
Yes.
Right? Real men won't take that kind of reaction personally. Real men will want to listen and be like, no, there's a reason why they react that way when women react that way. Maybe it's something that's rooted in their history of how they grew up or something like that. It could be something rooted way deeper than I'm even able to understand. But you have to let the women be heard at least. But when you're heard, you can't just be shouting out these things and hope that things change. It's when the conversation then becomes a lot more like it goes back down to the foundations of even relationships and marriages. And even when you're dating, is as long as you're communicating openly and honestly, and you're actually sitting down and working out those, those kinks and being honest with yourself, like this conversation, a lot of the things will come to light. And a lot of that change happens that way. It's slow and it's progressive, but it happens. It can happen. But it does take an open mouth.
It does. And I'm hoping that with men more like you guys that are more progressive, that you guys become like the majority and not the minority.
I'm progressive in a lot of ways, but I'm very traditional in a lot more.
I know, but that's my point. Like we can be traditional, but not in the old school traditional way of, like when I say, oh, we're traditional, people think, oh, well, Philip is controlling and he's like, his what he says goes. No, that's not how, that's not, I don't know. And I, how is it with dating? Cause I feel like you come to our house, Milky, and we talk about relationships. Sometimes I'm in there in that conversation. And I don't know if it's come from you, but I've heard, like I listen, like I said, a lot of podcasts and radio and stuff, how women today, like, 30s and 20s, they want to be independent and they want to be like their own woman, but yet they want you to be quote unquote traditional when it suits them.
Yeah.
When it benefits them.
Yeah.
But we can't have it both ways. Like we have to kind of integrate it somehow. So
yeah, definitely. I feel like both partners has to be comfortable with, and I think the definition of the word, because when we talk about tradition, I mean, look what you just said. I mean, you guys are working perfectly. And you're saying, I like that the women have a voice and all that, but the way that I work with my partner is this way. So it's basically the way that people interpret it. Because as soon as I say traditional, it's like a box.
Oh, yeah. And I'm sure the walls go up.
Right. The walls go up. And to be completely fair, when somebody say independent, I have a different perspective and I think, but even as I was hearing you right now, I'm like, oh, okay, well, that makes sense that she does has a voice and Philip gives her a chance to say what she has to say. We're not being here in this house and you control everything in here. So it's like,
yeah, I do. Say it again, Milky.
That's the part.
Hey, Milky.
Hey, can we cut this out?
Yeah, we just let him think that he controls it. Okay, but
there you go. No, but it's a great and it's a beautiful, and coming from the outside in, I mean, it's very stable family and it's growing, and I can see how the kids are learning or getting their driver's license or doing all that stuff. So it works. But I think that it's the definition. It's the agenda. It's like what is being said. And then when you talk to that person, you're automatically thinking about what is being said instead of saying, well, asking questions. Like Philip always tells me, tell me more. What does this means to you? When you think about traditional, when you think about masculine, God wants us to be masculine, but what is the biblical term of masculinity versus the world's term of masculinity? So just asking those questions to see where that person's coming from, because they might think exactly how I think, but they just when we mention the word, they just define it differently.
100%.
Yeah. Well, piggybacking on that, Corey asked, how important is to be the breadwinner, and would you feel less of a man if she was the breadwinner?
That's funny.
Shout out to Corey.
and Corey is a man, and he provided a lot of questions coming from a man.
Corey did. Yeah, so thank you, Corey. I appreciate that. This is funny because in dental school, majority of our class, I said probably about 80% of our class were women.
Whoa.
And when they were, and that's now the dynamic in the geographic breakdown in dentistry, majority of people graduating from dental school are women. So that's 60 to 80% of graduates are women. So now, being a dentist, you're marrying a man and you are the sole breadwinner. You make more money than your husband. And that was a huge issue with a lot of our classmates because the man is used to being the breadwinner. The man is used to being the one that makes most of the money. And they had to marry or date a person that can accept that. And to be honest, that's a huge paradigm shift for the woman to be the breadwinner. So for a man to be mature enough to handle that means a lot. And that is difficult. I mean, to be honest, I've never had to experience that.
Not yet.
Not yet.
But when Virago 24/7 blows up,
Actually,
watch out.
To be transparent.
No, your ex-wife.
I did lie about that because my ex-wife was a specialist. So she made more money than me. I was okay with that. It didn't matter to me because it's a win-win. They make more money. I make more money. We can do more things. We have more access. I didn't have that issue because I had a strong mother figure who handled herself. She was not the breadwinner, but you didn't know she wasn't the breadwinner in our household because she handled all the decisions. Now, when it came to big decisions, yes, Daddy made those decisions. However, she manifests strong women in our family. My sisters are strong. It was something that I just knew was okay. I didn't think anything crazy about that. So having someone that made more money than me in my first marriage, I had no ego about it. I had no issues about it, and it was fine. So that wasn't an issue. But the reality is, I think most men would have a problem with that.
Because they have little peepees.
No.
So they need their bank accounts to be very big.
No.
I would say that maybe, this is maybe they'll feel like their partner will not treat them the same just because they're not getting enough money. So that will probably trigger the insecurity if there is any. Or maybe it does happen. And that's where that feeling comes in. So it maybe has a lot to do with the other person's reaction. But that's maybe.
Or maybe they have a little peepee.
Maybe.
All right, so Justin, what do you think?
So I'd love to know the root of that question, because is it money are we talking money as it equates to power?
Yeah, okay. That's what I'm thinking.
That's kind of like where I was.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking, which I think as a premise is we're thinking about it the wrong way. You know, power in a household or power in a family, it can come in many forms. And tying it to money, I'd be interested in knowing why it's tied to money. Because if you look at it and you break down like an actual family, a traditional, we'll use you guys as an example. You called yourself the manager of the house, the manager of the home, right? There's a lot of work that goes into that. It's unpaid. If you were to calculate that time and that effort that you spend, you might get close, maybe even past that by. Like that's, if you're looking and you're breaking it down that way, right? So if it's really, the question is less about, it's about, does money, the amount of money that you provide for the family, is that important on who holds the decisions in the household? If that's kind of how I'm interpreting that question.
I think some men,
Because in my answer to that would be, regardless of who makes more money, the decisions in the household typically fall on the man to make. And that's traditional, even non-traditional in a lot of homes, at least I know. I would like to know in the homes where that is flipped or reversed, where the woman is the one who's making all of those decisions.
I will raise my hand.
And then you're raising your hand, yeah. Which I think that's the more interesting question here, because it's really trying to understand, that dynamic, opposed to asking the men, three men, because I think it's a deeper question.
I think what happens is, I think there's some men that are very, they need to go to therapy. And so that's why they cannot be with someone that, no, it's true. Their value is on providing. That's how they see their value.
Most men are.
Yeah. I think with Philip, listen, he
like I make a ton of decisions, even financial decisions. The big stuff we come together, but there's some things that I'm like, oh, I'll persuade him. And if it's not a big deal to him, he goes along with what I'm saying. But the moment he's like, yeah, no, we're not doing that, then I respect that. And I think it's because I do have a lot of, I don't want to say control, but I do have a lot of decision power making, whatever you want to call it, in the relationship. So when he says no, I don't take offense to it because I'm like, I get like 90% of my way. So this little 10% is, and when he's putting his foot down, and I think it goes back to trusting that your partner has the best interest of the family. So as women, we can't be trifling. We got to be like, you know what I'm saying? We can't be trifling. We have to see that the man is working very hard, bringing in the income, providing this house. And yes, I'm working just as hard, like you said. I'm not getting paid for it. Maybe in other ways, but
whoa. Okay.
Not
commercial. Go to commercial.
Cut. No. But I just wish that most men can just put their egos down. If they can just lay it down just for a second, the woman could feel more empowered and more trusting of your leadership. Like if you don't trust someone's leadership, then there's always going to be friction and I don't know.
And I guess this follow-up question to that would be like, why did you marry that man? Like if it wasn't, if I married the broke man, then anything that he worked for, well, that's just ours.
Yeah.
But if I married the rich man, why did you marry the rich man?
Yeah.
Because you're already setting yourself up for that dynamic at the very start. If that relationship is based upon that, then guess what? That's what you're going to live. If you're going to try to change that, we're going to go back to happen. Going back to my answer to the previous question. Yeah. That's just going to take a whole lot of time, and he's got to be willing to listen.
Yeah.
And if he's not listening at the very beginning, he's not going to listen to, 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the road. No. That's just not how that works. So in that kind of environment, but those are decisions that were made a very long time ago, depending on how long somebody's been married.
Philip, like, okay, so when you were broke, when I married you, like you weren't at the level where you are now, but you weren't broke. And so what was it? What had to happen to get to where we are today? Because I was a young 20-something-year-old with like no clue.
And no money.
And definitely no money. And definitely no money. And I did, FYI, I didn't marry you for your money, by the way.
I know that. That's why we married. So, you know what? You know the biggest thing was?
Like a good neighbor.
State Farm is there. Okay, State Farm, you better give me some money.
Hey, and you worked for State Farm.
I did.
So, you know what it was? It was two things, twofolds. Again, it goes back to my mother. She was a strong, strong woman who handled our household. Every man still goes back to their mother when it comes to who you want to marry. I don't care how you want to look at it, how you fool yourself. You want someone that's similar to that person. So you want a strong woman. And for me, yes, initially I paid all the bills, I handled all the finances. And when you came to me and said, you know what, I can take care of this for you, I was so happy.
Well, it didn't happen like that. I cried like a little baby. I was like, oh my gosh, I gotta be dependent on you. This is not the way I envisioned it. He's so sweet. He's like, you came to me very. No, I was I was mortified. Not mortified. I was so upset that, oh my gosh, I never wanted to be dependent on a man. And here I am having a baby, my second baby, depending on a man. And it was horrible feeling.
But I was so happy to not have to deal with paying all the bills, taking care of everything.
I mean, you're still paying the bills. I'm just making sure they go to the right people.
Yeah, but I didn't have to pay the bills.
Yeah.
I was doing all of that initially when we married. So when you came to me and was like, hey, I can do this, I was so happy. That was one less thing off my plate. Mm-hmm. And I trusted you that you can handle the finances. So I was happy to give that to you. And I never questioned it. Because now it would be different if we were like missing bills and weren't paying certain things.
Well, how do you know that didn't happen? How do you know I don't have an offshore account?
You just messed it up. It was going so well, right?
So when I saw that, man, she's taking care of it, she's handling it, I was so happy that you were going to take care of it. First of all, that you wanted to take care of it. And in our household that I grew up in, Daddy took care of everything. Mom didn't pay anything. I mean, there were certain things she paid. She took care of it. She'd take care of the telephone because she was always on the phone. So that's what she took care of.
She made sure that was on, right?
She paid that. But she bought her furs and she went out and shopped. And she was a school teacher.
That's awesome.
School teachers don't make money.
Yeah.
They don't.
Yeah, amen to that.
But she ran the household. And I saw Daddy, who was the breadwinner, still let Mama make all those decisions. So that was my perspective. So that was different. That was unique. So I can't say that that's the majority and that's what most men think, but that's what I grew up thinking. And then when you stepped up and said, hey, I'm going to take care of it, then I was okay with that. And then you showed that you could take care of it. And then I checked out.
Yeah, you did. You don't know where the bodies are buried or nothing.
I have no clue what you do with the money and how you pay the bills and all those things. And I'm okay with that.
He doesn't know the password to the online.
I don't know the password to our bank account. I don't know any of those things, which is so crazy because in my men's group at church, it's the opposite.
All of them do it, yeah.
The women in our men's group have no clue about the finances that's going on in the house. If the men would pass away, the women would have no clue how to handle finances and bills, and the majority. I can't do a generalization, but the majority. So it's the opposite. I checked out because you know what? Again, we are simple creatures. If there's one less thing that I have to deal with and I have to concern myself with, I'm happy about. I have enough to do with when it comes to work and other things. And if you're going to take that off my plate, I'd be crazy not to be okay with
That's
it.
so trusting, Philip. So trusting.
But you have to show that you can
that is very trusting.
handle it, because if you couldn't handle it, obviously I would step in, but that's not the case. So yeah, I have no issues with that.
These are intense questions. Okay, so we were talking about me managing the household, and I just recently did a podcast on mental load.
Okay.
Do you guys know what mental load is?
Yeah, 100%.
And if you do, what does it mean to you? Philip doesn't know. That's why I did a whole podcast on it, Justin. So please educate the men on what mental load is and how can you help?
Okay, so the way I understand it, mental load is women were built specifically for mental load because they are multitaskers. Okay, this is something that I've learned over my time.
Wait, were we built for it, or does it default on us? And so we just got to
look. I'll tell you, I have yet to meet a woman who's unable to multitask. In my day, if you meet one,
that's true.
Introduce me to her because I would love to meet this unicorn.
Okay.
Men are very simple. It's just one track of mind, one thing at a time. Go from here, go from there. We're very linear. What was it? Mental load. Mental load. What the mental load is being inundated with everything that is they're responsible as women, and as households, as household managers, and the burdens that it comes with having to manage every little thing. What time is my kid's appointment? What time is their dentist appointment? What do I have this week? I have to cook dinner. I have to do this. I'm grading papers. My wife's a teacher. I am every single day. I am constantly reminded about this mental load. Now, on my end, it's all about the simplification. I look at it as a logistical sense of how can I make everything work smarter and not harder to relieve some of that mental load. But if I make those suggestions, you have to adhere to them because it's a system, right? Look, some of our greatest inventors in time, Steve Jobs, what's that dude from Amazon, Bezos? Go through, read all of the great people that are out there. There's a reason why Steve Jobs wore black turtlenecks and jeans his entire life, because that was one less decision he had to make. Again, when it comes down to it, mental load is just the ability to make decisions. And just like that unicorn, the women that I have in my life that I've come across, they have the hardest time making decisions.
Go ahead. I was joking. Go ahead. I lost my breath for a minute.
And because of that, it ends up putting more of a mental load on things. Whereas men, you just try to make a decision and move on.
Oh, Justin.
Good or bad, make a decision and move on.
Justin. Yep. No, there are many of men where, hey, where's this? Oh, what's this? Oh, what time? Oh, what? You go to the grocery store. Wait, what do we want? Okay, you have the same children. They have been around the same amount of time in my life that they've been around in your life, except you have stepchildren. But why are you calling me to ask me what they're going to eat? You should know what they're eating. You should know what they like. I understand what you're saying. Yes, women.
Make me a list.
That's part of the fucking mental load, Justin. Making the list is one more thing on the mental load.
Thank you.
Listen, just because.
What's so hard about making a list?
Get out of here.
What is so
Get out
hard
of here
about
with your
making a
effing
list?
list.
What's so hard about making a list?
You make Justin,
look.
You make the list. You make the list, Justin.
I'll make the list. Okay, I will sit here and you tell me what's on that list.
That's part of the. Okay, so you don't really clearly understand what mental load is. That's part of it.
No.
Why? It's like you're like the child.
No.
Where I have to tell you what to do next.
Nope.
Now put on your sock. Now put on your shoe. Now tie your shoe.
No.
Now put on your jacket. Now what? Like no, that's part of the mental load, Justin.
It is the teach a man to fish.
Get out of here.
You make one list.
I'm not trying to teach you. I'm not trying to teach you to fish.
There's technology even now.
You're a grown-ass man.
You make it one time.
No.
And then you know what the list is. Do I have access to my wife's Kroger account for her pickup orders? No. Do I see what she buys every week? Yes. It's everything that I don't eat. but it's everything that the kids eat. So the kids are taken care of, but I got no steaks, I got no meat, there's no red meat, there's no chicken wings, there's nothing that's good in there.
I think, this is the thing. I think you guys are missing the point. You painted it beautifully, but then you took your truck and crashed over the whole idea of what you just presented, because that is part of it. It's like, I'm already managing all this shit.
Okay.
I already have this shit. I already have indecisions. Like you said, I'm indecisive.
Okay.
A lot of us are. And then you're going to come to me asking me what to put on the fucking grocery list?
Yes. And here's why.
I don't give a shit.
Here's why.
I've learned with Philip. He's like, I said, I literally tell him, I don't want to, I am not in the mood to think right now. I need you to buy what you need for yourself. It's very sweet. It's very sweet. He calls, he's like, what do you need? What do the kids need? At this moment, right this second, my brain does not want to think. I don't know what we have. I don't know what we don't have. So you just focus on yourself. You buy your stuff.
Okay. Good. Look.
I wish you didn't have to call me to tell me what I need.
Look.
You should already know what I need, Philip, because I already know what you need. When I go to the store, do I call you and ask you what you need? No, because I know that you need the strawberries, and I know you want the blueberries, and I know what kind of yogurt you like, and I know what kind of milk you do drink or don't drink. I know what kind. I don't have to call you to ask you what we need, because I already know.
Okay. Sweet. All right.
I'm a milk.
I'm a milk.
Wow, it's so good to hear this perspective, because I've never considered it. Seriously.
I understand.
Now, listen, I'm setting you up for success for your future marriage.
Thank you.
I understand this, but I'm gonna open your eyes again too.
Okay, Justin, come on now.
For one, I love that, especially in my household, my wife does all the grocery shopping. She does all the grocery shopping for the kids and for herself. And for herself, I get nothing. It's okay. But that's okay. I don't mind.
Does she know what you like, Justin?
I don't think she does. I don't think she does.
Celery sticks, carrots.
Literally, she will FaceTime me and it's in the meat section and be like, which one do you want? Like, which steak do you want?
Maybe you're just particular, Justin.
I am very
Maybe
particular.
that's why she can't pull the trigger.
All right. But here's the other but. The same mental load that women have, and I understand there's a lot that they have to deal with because they are multitaskers. So for me, in my household and for my experience, mental load is different because I work in the creative industry. So my mind during the day is always at work. So it's always functioning and trying to figure out whether it be creative or logistics or scripts or anything that's a focus of my job. It is my mind. It's not a task. It's my mind that's at work. So the same thing of like digging a ditch and on the side of a highway, that same physical exertion that those men go through, I'm having to do instead with my mind. So at the end of the day, when I'm clocking out for work, all I want to do is just sit on a couch with a glass of bourbon and watch the game or watch TV and just zone out and nobody bother me. That's my mental unload, right? But that, as soon as I lay down, I put the blanket on. There she is, right there by the side. I was like, the kitchen needs to be clean. This needs to be this. And I was like, yeah, that'll happen later. Right now, I just need to just cut everything out. I just need to relax.
Well, you think women don't want to just sit and relax?
You can sit and relax. Look, we're adults. You can sit and relax and do anything you want at any time. That's what the joy about being an adult is. When you're kids, you're always like, I wish I could just do whatever I want. And then you get to when you do whatever you want, and then you find out you can't. Right?
Yeah.
But here's the thing, you can.
Yes.
But your house is going to be messy. Things are going to be disorganized.
Like messy because I can't sit.
Correct.
And relax.
But a guy can.
But
because you guys are nasty, that's why.
Exactly.
Nasty.
We can say, no, we're not nasty.
Yeah, you are.
No, we'll just hire a maid to come do it.
There you go.
Where's our maid? Felipe.
I don't know where our maid is. We need to fire her. She's slipping.
No, I keep this on tip-top shape.
That's a prime example. Here's a prime example, okay? And I'm okay to share this.
Share it.
Okay, so very, very recent. We used to have maid service, and then I thought they were overcharging us, so I stopped. But the house started to just pile up. Everything you would notice things, and I'm just like, this is not the way you want to live. My wife's an educator, and she's now in grad school, so it's like you work during the day, and you come home and you work even more, and then on the weekends, as a teacher, you still work, but then you work even more because you have to do grad school work. Plus the kids, plus everything else, plus it piles up. It's a lot. And I understand that there's a lot of mental load that goes into there, and there's breaking points to that. One of the things that always gets left behind is the home, just clean. What I have found and what I have learned through research and through studies and through podcasts is when you come home to a messy house or you come home to clutter, it automatically puts you in a state of anxiousness. Mm-hmm. I experience it on a very regular basis. There's a lot of people who experience this on a regular basis. And if you listening at home experience this on a regular basis, do me a favor. Try it. Just get a maid for a month. It's like maybe anywhere ranging, depending on the size of your home, from $125 upwards to $200, $250, depending on how big your house is. But if you do it just one time a month, it will allow you to unload and come home to a clean house. And especially when they've just been there for that first week or weekend, where you come home where it's not something you even had to think about, and you just feel more relaxed. Like you get re-energized by that. Mm-hmm. And it's very important. That's a little thing, right? So learn from that little investment. You're investing money into this one act, and you're providing this relief, right? So if you take that same act and you look at other little ways that you can do it, streamlining, the way that your kids come home. So when my kids come home, you have to have a routine. All right. They're always coming home hungry. So, all right, let's get the snacks out. Let's make sure that there's a system. All right. What do they like when they come home? Let's have that ready for them when they come home. Or when they come home, don't want to come home and just clutter up the house. All right, let's put some hooks on the wall. Let's start building. And then when you come home, backpacks go here, homework comes out. Here's your desk. Here's your thing. Here's where you need to go and get your work done. Put things into routines. And it's one less thing you have to think about.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Well, who's doing the hook thing? The woman or the man?
Whoever.
Okay.
You know,
In
it's
our
just,
house, so you are.
it's just
mental load. You see why this is very.
man.
You see why I'm passionate about the mental load. You just said I'm doing
Jill
it.
of all trades.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, those little things. So, but it takes time, it takes effort, it takes individuals to do those actions on their own. And a lot of times for me, and especially a lot of men that I know, there's a motivation factor, right? So there's a lack of that motivation because you never get up your ass to actually go and do something like that. But you know that it can be done, but you just never go and do it. Because it's one thing out of there. And then for me, that's what I run into on a constant basis is the lack of motivation because I'm so like exhausted either at the end of the day or, you know, something like that. I just don't want to think about things like that.
Well, yeah,
but those are simple things.
I think we all do, but it still has to get done. And I think as women, for example, if someone walks into your home, like if my mother comes to visit, is she going to be like, oh, well, Philip didn't clean and look at this? No. They're going to blame the woman for their house looking a certain kind of way or their kids acting a certain kind of way. Yeah. The man is never blamed for anything out of the norm. It's the woman. That's exhausting.
Just to be fair, let's add your culture. Let's add which we have the same culture.
That's true.
And
our culture is hardcore, Milky.
Right, but let's
very hardcore when it comes to shit like
because
that.
It adds responsibility.
It does. It does.
But if your mom comes in and she turns on the light and it doesn't come on, or she go to the fridge and there's nothing in there, she's gonna say, "Is Philip working?"
No, that's true. That's true.
What is he even doing out there?
Is he buying you guys food? Is he feeding you? That's true.
He's watching TV. You know what's going on. He's gaining weight. What's going on?
This boy is getting fat and doing nothing.
Where's his snack?
Or it may turn around the room and be like, are you giving him sex? Are you giving intimacy? Why is he slacking? Yes. But no, that to me, that's a big thing. But this is what I've learned because we have argued many times, Philip, over household chores. Yeah. But now on year 18 of being married, you have always said, I just need you to talk to me. I need you to express. So now yes, I have a mental load, but I try not to get super anxious. If I have a whole list and I know that men are very simple and they can just boom, boom, boom. I'm like, hey, Philip, this is what's on my mental load. I literally will call him up or text him if he's not around me. And he's like, that's not important. This and this and this and this and this. And I'm like,
I love that.
I'm like, okay, I feel better now.
Yeah, no, that's
or
good.
I'll take care of this and don't worry about this. I'll do this and this and this.
That's good.
And it sucks as a woman that you have to do that, but we have to.
Don't think that it's you that's doing it because you just even coming together, you're doing and making those decisions together.
It's come a long way, Justin.
It has to come along. Again, back to the point. Yeah. It does take time, just like in a marriage, in a relationship, and anybody that you meet that's new. It takes time to figure out what the vibe is on how you think. I mean, 17 years, and it wasn't until, me being married until like maybe 17, 18 years where I was like, oh, I think we regularly need to have this home cleaned by somebody else, not us, because it's a burden thing. Like I started paying once I started making pretty good money. I was like, I'm not cutting the grass anymore. Until my son turns, a certain age, then he's going to cut the grass just like I did. Those kinds of little things, at least coming together and having that conversation. Actually, I've even heard it on a lot of podcasts where maybe if that is something that you feel as women, that the mental load is just something you're always you're having to overcome, maybe schedule a weekly mental load unload. Right? Maybe it's us getting together, husband, wives, partners, relationships, or whomever, sitting down and be like, hey, look, here's the week ahead. Here's what my mental load is going to be like this week. Here's what we got going on. Can we share some of this load? Mm-hmm. Can you do the groceries this week? I'm just so exhausted. How many times have you been like, you know what? I'm tired. I don't want to go do the grocery shopping. Phil, can you just please go do the grocery shopping this weekend?
Yeah, I've done that.
You've done that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of women who haven't. And I know my wife would never let me go grocery shopping.
I totally would.
Because she knows I will fuck up that grocery list because I didn't have a list.
But my thing is like,
jelly? Why you brought jelly? Where's the peanut butter?
But the thing is like, what is fucking it up? Like,
oh, because I don't get the right brand. I don't get the right this. I don't get the right thing. Like, I've gotten yelled at for getting.
I've let go of that kind of stuff. Yeah,
we've gone past that.
I got private selection instead of like hunts.
We've gone past that because my thing is if I'm going to get it, then this is what you're
gonna get.
So, but we've gone past that, and I agree because I'm not going to be a mind reader. I'm not going to.
I've heard that a lot of times in my lifetime with them. Yeah, I can't read your mind.
But you can read my mind when you want such and such. I get that. But I'm not going to be a mind reader 100% of the time. So you need to actually verbally communicate to me as an adult and say, hey, this is what I need. This is what I want. And you know what? I'll take care of it. I'll take care of it. I may not take care of it the way that you would take care of it, but I'm going to take care of it and it's going to be okay.
Yes.
But that's where we have gotten to when it comes to this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to handle this situation. Because like you said, she'll call me. She'll say, hey, I have this, this, and this, this on my list. This and this and this is not important, but this and this is. Handle this. And then what do you need from me? I need you to do this and I need you to do this. Perfect. Hey, I need you to go take Corinne to go skating on Saturday. All right, I got it. What do you have on your plans? I have nothing. Take care of that. One less thing on your mental load.
Yep.
But it comes back to healthy communication because what most people do is assume, and they don't assume good intentions. And they assume, oh, you should read my mind. You should know what I want. You should know. But have you verbalized what you want? No, but you should have read my mind and did it anyway. That's not reality. That's a made up, man-made sense of a relationship. That's what you see on TV. That's what you see on these romantic comedies and movies. And that's not real. So we have to actually like communicate with each other and tell each other what we need and want. Now, if that person is not fulfilling that, when you tell them that, that's a whole nother story. That's a whole nother podcast. But when we do say that, then, and we actually step up and take care of it, and we don't take care of it at the 10 that you do, it's okay. We at least stepped up and did something. And let us do it multiple times, just like we said, when we tell you the truth, and we're authentic when we tell you that, and we're transparent. And over time, you get it and you're okay with it. It's the same way when we step up and do something that's not the way that you want it done and we do it. You know what? Over time, we'll get to that point. It may not be a 10. It may not be a 5. It may be a 6 or an 8. And that's so much better than it was at the beginning. So, yes, let us do that. And then we'll eventually get to that point. It works both ways in both transparency and helping your mental load.
Yeah. Well, and women have to let go of expectations. That's what I had to do because, yes, I'm going to do it my way. And then I think women get caught up as like, well, he didn't do it my way. So I might as well just do everything by myself, blah, 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 blah. I literally had to let go of that. Like when the kids were babies, it's like, okay, well, they're still onesie and it's spit up. I would have changed them by now, but here I come home and they're in that nasty ass onesie and they're just having fun. But they're having fun. And I'm like, okay, the baby's alive. They've been fed. The diaper's been changed. Okay, so they have a nasty ass onesie on. I had to, it's an anxiety inducing thing that we have as women. I'm sure there's men out there that have that. That I had to literally let go of. I'm like, do I want a happy marriage or do I want to fight all the effing time over stupid shit like this? Exactly. Because my expectations aren't being met. And it's exhausting when you think about it. It's very exhausting. So I had to kind of put my stuff in check, but also he had to step up so that I'm like, okay, I'm trusting him
True.
when I bring this to him that he's going to
Have to
actually
do
do
something
something
with it.
Right.
and not just be
Yeah.
like, well, that's your job and you figure that shit out, because then that's deflating. And I'm sure there's
true.
men out there that probably respond that way. And that, like you said, that's another podcast for another time and some extensive therapy. So
we will get to that later.
So listen, we have a ton to talk about, so many other questions, but we've been talking forever and ever. So we're going to do this again.
Yes.
Do you guys agree?
Yeah,
100%.
I agree.
Can we end on one silly ass question?
Yeah, let's do it.
But all the women want to know. Angela wants to know, why can't you ever find the ketchup in the fridge when we tell you exactly where that shit is? Why, Felipe? Why?
All right, this is a great way to end this.
Justin, well, you wear glasses, so that makes sense.
This is a great way to end this.
Take it, Justin. Take it.
Please educate us, Justin.
Because we want you to bring it to us.
Oh, dang. You don't have to be that honest, bro.
Mic drop. And we're done.
Well,
Is that why, or because you're blind?
That is exactly right. Because you're up, and I need the ketchup.
I just want to say, as it's first time in this podcast, it's very educational. I'm just grateful. I want to come back. I want to just kind of hear more of these questions and just learn more, really.
Thank you, Milky, because there's more, and I'm gonna have you talking on some of these.
All right, let's go.
All right. So we're gonna come back. We're gonna have part 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, because there's a lot of questions left over. All right. I appreciate you guys. I thank you for being honest. We're gonna dig deeper because we want to know about some cheating and all that stuff for next time. Infidelity questions. Why?
I've never cheated in my whole life.
Oh, okay. I thank you guys. Go to Cigar Bar now.
Yes.
And have fun. And I appreciate you. I'm going to go watch my HGTV.
There you go.
Okay. Bye, guys.
All right, bye.
Thank you so much for listening to Virago 24/7. If you haven't done so already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And please give us 5-star ratings. Also, don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Virago 24_7 and on Facebook at Virago 24/7. And just connect with us and share your story. We'd love to hear from you.
Just give me my space to move.